So, first of all, how are you finding lockdown? What's your situation right now?
Well, I can't show you because maybe I can show you if I do this. Can I? I'll show you where I am. Sorry, excuse me. I have to put my glasses on. I'm actually rather good. I mean, I feel very where is it go? Oh, that's it. Uh, um, no, that's not it. I'll have to leave it. Sorry, I thought I could switch off my background and show you where I am, but I don't know how to do that.
No,
Do I?
I haven't really, can't really get my head around Zoom still, to be honest.
Yeah, there are these tiny arrows which are lots of kind of things, but they're so small. You think, well, oh, why didn't you make it bigger? Anyway, sorry, you'll have to deal with Aurora Borealis. No, I'm in the middle of the woods. I'm upstate New York. I have a house. I have 8 acres, and it's in the ski country, really. Normally, it's on the border of Massachusetts and New York, and I'm actually talking to you from the cabin. We have a B&B, which we normally use as a B&B place, but of course that's not happening at the moment. So the main house is down there, and we're in the cabin, which is up here.
Nice. And how?
But I'm finding it fine. I mean, in fact, I'm more in demand in this situation than I would be. I'm dying to do a job. I'm dying to do my show so I can go back to my trailer and sit in my trailer, which I quite enjoy. But I'm denied that pleasure because today I've got about 4 of these things because it's Emmy week. They're burning up to the Emmys, so there's lots of Emmys interviews and stuff like that, which is fine. It's all par for the course. And then people ask me to do virtual films or poetry. I've been doing James Joyce, a monstrous piece of James Joyce, which is almost indecipherable. And I've also been doing, I've got to do All the World's a Stage for Alistair Morrison, who's a photographer, and he's putting that out. So I keep getting requests all the time.
Yes, it's great to be
I'm really busy, actually. That's the truth of
You
it.
haven't had any time to kind of chill out and develop any new skills or anything like that?
No, I have no skills. I'm too old for skills. I can only do what I can do. My skill is learning how to cope with this thing. That's why I was late this morning, because I had so many bloody aspects of, it kept saying, find it. Oh,
I know, it is very surreal, isn't it? I mean, I'm just getting my head around doing these kind of interviews. It's so bizarre.
Are you in London?
No, I'm actually in my parents' house in northeast of England.
Oh, whereabouts?
It's a place called Berwick-upon-Tweed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Berwick.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Berwick.
Yeah. So
It's really Scotland, you know that, don't you?
Yeah. Apart from the football team playing in, the football team plays in Scotland because that's where I am.
I love Berwick. It's a beautiful place. It's gorgeous. The
Although
Tweed is a great river.
They've completely closed at the moment, so yeah.
How is Scotland? Is Scotland in slightly better shape than England?
Well, it's got a better leader.
That goes without saying. You know that I'm a Scot. I don't like the word nationalist. I never did. But I am a Scots independent.
Yeah.
The sooner we get shot of the southern lot, the better. Quite frankly.
I mean, Sturgeon's kind of doing her own thing, isn't she? Which is good because obviously there's no lead.
Well, she's taken a leaf out of that lovely woman in New Zealand who's doing a fantastic job. I mean, just amazing what she's done. I mean, she's a credit to the world, actually, I think, in the handling of situation. Unlike the pink Pinocchio we have here, I call him the bad script. If somebody said, "Would you play Donald Trump?" and I go, "No, I couldn't possibly. It's a terrible script. It's so two-dimensional. I could never do anything with it. I couldn't give that person any life." So I call him the bad script.
Oh God! Has anyone asked you to play Donald Trump? No.
No, God, no. I mean, my friend Alec Baldwin does a brilliant job on SNL. But it's a wonderfully satirical thing. But no.
That is. I know. I love that. It's so great. So we're here to talk about Little Room, which I watched today. I was it's really compelling for just being screens, isn't it? I was really hooked into it.
Really? Yeah. What
It's
did you like about it?
just like I don't know. It must be just because you kind of think that you need. I don't know, like you need different locations or you need different, you like actual interactions. But I found I was compelled by watching everyone separately, I guess.
I think it was a first actually in terms of a movie, a short movie. I think it was. Is it called Little Room now?
No, what did I say? Sorry.
You said Little Room. I think you call it. It's the Agrophobics
Yeah,
Detective
yeah,
Society.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was confused. I suddenly thought they changed the title. No, the great thing about it, because I did it here in the cabin, and the great thing about it is that it's a bold venture, and it was three wonderful female directors, Dolly Wells and Heidi Goldsmith, and it was really great job. And then Claes Bang is an old friend of mine. I did a movie with him last year, so he was in Denmark, and then there was a wonderful girl who was in L.A., people in England, and then people here, myself from New York. So it was a bold venture. It was put together by this great woman called Maggie Monteith, who's been, she's been doing stuff for years. She's a Scot actually, and she did it. I mean, it was very good. It was tough. It was hard. I mean, I had a hell of a problem downloading the takes. That was, that was my baptism of fire, was downloading the takes that I had to then send, and it was taking forever. And we had it on. I can't remember because there's so many versions of it. Was it WeTransfer? No, it wasn't. It was something else that we were sending it on. And eventually I got so frustrated. It took me about 4 days to load the takes because, I'm here, but, we've got fiber optics here, which is good, but I don't know. It was just a bit of a nightmare. And then somebody showed me the other day, oh, you can send things on message. I said, what? You can send things by message? And I said, well, why didn't anybody tell me that? But I don't think the quality is very good.
No. And how you approached to get involved in it?
Well, I know Maggie. I've known Maggie for years. She's a fellow Scot. And she went to the University of Stirling, actually. She was there with Jack McConnell, the ex-First Minister of Scotland. Labour, now no longer, no Labour in Scotland. Well, one, I think. No, what happened was that she got in touch and said, look, I want to do this thing. Are you on board? And because Claes was involved, and I love Claes, and they did this wonderful Dracula, which I saw. And Dolly Wells directed it, who I didn't recognize in Dracula. She played Van Helsing as a nurse, as a nun, and was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I said, yeah, I'm for it. So I came on board, and my character is fairly sort of probably the less, I don't speak as much as the others, which is quite nice, and I'm so busy doing it. And so he's so dismissive because he's doing his painting. And of course, my wife helped out because she's technically very adept. So she came in and she actually held the camera for her and did a lot of the work, actually, because she's a wonderful actress, but she also happens to be a very good director. She directed this series called Messy, which is about a woman, about a family, a woman who is, it's a web series. It's about a woman who who's separated from her husband, but they all have to, because they can't afford to, they all have to live in the same flat. And she's trying to date, and it's very, very funny, very funny. In fact, I think Maggie's trying to sell it at the moment. So it was good, and of course it's unusual because it's a whole, we're into a different paradigm because of the situation of the moment, and film of that kind, and television particularly, seems to be really purchasing in a way that is incredible because people are just watching. I mean, I've been watching stuff. I've been watching this thing called the French Village, which somebody told me about, which is in French, but it's about the occupation of the Germans. And of course, it has a lot of resonance with now, particularly in America, the kind of lockdown situation. So there's some really good stuff out there. So I think there's a paradigm shift, which of course had to be because of, I mean, it's tragic what's happening to the theaters. I mean, the theaters are in such dire need, particularly and the UK are talking about it, whereas in the US, and we have great theaters here in the US, but they're not talking about it at all. It's become very low priority, which is a shame.
I know, yeah, because you can't really see them opening anytime soon, can you? I mean, you can't social distance in a theatre at all, so it's like, what?
No, you can't. That's the problem, and there'll have to be found a way of doing it. I mean, they did one Zoom thing from the public, which Richard Nelson, a wonderful American writer called Richard Nelson, wrote this thing, Things We Talk About. And they're doing another one, The Things We Need to Talk About. And it was about, he set it in present day, so everybody is isolated, in social isolation. And this is a family, and they've done about 4 plays on it, and very, very good plays too. And it was a huge success. And the irony is, it was done by the Public Theatre. Now, probably over the space of a run at the Public Theatre, you might get, say, about maybe 6 to 10,000 seeing that play. They had about 40,000 people see the play. And that's an interesting kind of sort of plus of this situation, that if your work catches on, and because of social media, it's amazing.
And like the model for this show as well, isn't it? It's like pay when you watch.
Yeah.
So that's like an interesting,
Yeah, I mean that, because one has to cover the expenses. I mean, I've just done a piece for the National Theatre of Scotland, funny enough. There's a detective that Ian Rankin writes called Rebus, and I've done this detective in isolation. And I let the salary go because I just think those theatres, like the Lyceum, which is my old alma mater in Edinburgh, where I started 100 years ago, they're in deep trouble. I mean, they could be closing doors for the first time in 120 years. And so there's a real emergency within the theatre community at the moment about how they're going to carry on. And Sonia Friedman's been very good because she's been asking for subsidies so that we can get through the bridging until we are able to get back to normal. It will get back to normal. But the problem is that in this country, nobody's bothering. And so the arts are going to the wall, very much so. Whereas in the UK, it's the one thing about the UK, it's still, because it's Shakespeare, it still prizes its theatre,
But the Globe's in trouble as well, isn't it? They read about the
Yeah,
Globe.
the Globe's in deep trouble. The Globe's in trouble. The RSC is in trouble. They're all in trouble. There's not one, the young Vic. The Vic is in trouble. The old Vic is in trouble. No, I mean, it's a real, we've got to do something about it because it's really bad at the moment,
And you're saying you've got like some Emmy calls today. Is that all kind of coming back around again?
Yeah, so it's all for Succession, so we've got all these sort of, Emmy things. The nominations get announced next month, so I've been called upon to do my bit. HBO still owns me, so I have to do what I'm told.
I started watching it again. It's one of the only TV series that I've wanted to watch again, and it's gripped me again. We watched the first few episodes, and I was like, kind of forgot what happened, and I was like, oh, it's yeah. It's like I can't. Yeah.
It's a good show, and they're great writers, and the 3rd season is, if we ever get it made, is extraordinary. I mean, I am normally not let in on the, because I'm just the actor, and the writers are very, they're very, very close. And the work, so we never used to know, we would get the episode, maybe on a Wednesday we'd do a reading and we'd be filming on the Monday, so we thought, oh, wow, wow, this is happening. But now, I've been told, because I think probably because I won a Golden Globe, Jesse Armstrong actually said, do you want to know what's happening? I said, oh, are you supposed to tell me? I'm not sure if that's a good thing. He said, no, I'll tell you. And he did tell me, and it's very exciting, but I can't tell you because I'd have to kill you.
Come find me in Northumberland.
But it's a very, very good show. Very good show.
And I read somewhere that you might have to repeating. I mean, might have to add some kind of contemporary situations into season 3.
Yeah, we probably will. I mean, I don't know what they're doing at the moment. I mean, we're doing it. Normally it's a 10-episode arc, but in season 3 we're doing an 8-episode arc. But I'm just wondering if we're going to have to take in COVID, if we're going to have to take in the lockdown, if we're going to do that, or we're going to do it post-lockdown, or what. So those are decisions to be made, and we'll see what happens.
I know, it's almost like too depressing, isn't it? I think like if you were to write some kind of, I don't know, like a TV show about British politics right now, I don't think I'd want to watch it.
Yeah, yeah, but it'd be very hard to do. I mean, it's pretty awful. I mean, this man Cummings has been allowed such latitude, and Boris is so. I mean, like Trump, he is so obviously hopeless. He's such a kind of, he's a sort of idiot savant. Who kind of, oh yeah, yes, I love it, and you just go, Jesus Christ, what have we come to? And the fact that Churchill is his hero, and I played Churchill, and he hasn't got any of Churchill's depth or vision or anything. I mean, it's just appalling. It's appalling. He's a total tosser, and it's, we have a wonderful expression in Scotland. He's a balloon. He really is a balloon.
That's so great. I love that. And with Succession, did you like dream of this kind of success? Did you think when you read it, this is going to be something that's going to be so massive as it is?
I didn't think it was going to be, I didn't know if it was going to be massive. You can never tell. But I did feel when I was asked to do it that this was something that, at my great age, having done virtually everything you can do in this business, I just thought, this is something that is remarkable, and this character, because I was originally supposed to die at the end of the first series, but they realized very quickly. Actually, they realized in the conversation we had when they were approaching me, both Adam McKay and Jesse Armstrong, that the character was going to last for more than one series, and of course he has become this kind of iconic figure, and he's very much the figure of the day because of the whole avarice business, the whole money thing. And the interesting thing I think about Logan is that he's mysterious. We don't really know where he comes from, and we know where he comes from, but we don't know what his motivation is, what motivates him. I personally think the man's a nihilist, that he really doesn't care about anything. And he's non-aligned to anybody or anything. And of course, the great thing about him is he's done it all himself. So there's no inherited thing like taking over a newspaper empire like Murdoch did, or Trump. With his, this is, he started from point zero, and I think that's much more interesting as a character. So, and then to arrive at a point where I suppose he and I have one thing in common, is that we find the human experiment a little disappointing. He's much more vociferous about it than I am.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have in common out of all of his characteristics, I'd say.
Yeah, it's the fact that, and he loves his children, but his children, because I just say to Jesse, I said, does he love his children? Because I was seriously doubting it. He said he adores his children, but they're hopeless. And of course they are.
It's so good that
you can do about them.
It's so good that you can have those kind of conversations, isn't it? Because it's like you always want to have a conversation with like your favorite author, to be like, so what? Or your like favorite director. I always want to ask questions.
Exactly.
And what else are you working on at the moment? You said, have you got any other project? You've got Emmys that's coming up, and
yeah, Emmys, and I've just done this Rebus thing for Scott. I've got to do this. It's not horrendous. It's a wonderful piece, but they have Bloomsday, which is in July, and I've got to do this piece of Joyce, which is about 14 minutes, and it's completely indecipherable. And the only way you can do it is do it very fast, because if you try to break it down into sort of normal cadence, you're screwed. You're totally screwed, because Joyce doesn't. It's kind of, it's nothing. It's not for nothing that Beckett was Joyce's secretary, and is clearly influenced by Joyce's madness in his writing. So I'm doing that, and I've done one half of it. It's been a nightmare, because it's been like the sword of Damocles hanging over me, and I keep putting it off and putting it off. But yesterday was rather beautiful, so I was able to do it outside, and I thought, to hell with it. I put a straw hat on, and I did it like that. But I've only done half of it. I've got to do the rest of it. So there's various things like that, and I've got to do this all the world's a stage thing. And they just keep popping up. People keep asking me. And of course, my problem is, and my wife's problem, we can never say no. So we become inundated by stuff. So too much. I mean, this Joyce yesterday was just driving me crazy. It was just driving me nuts.
I do know what you mean about Joyce, actually. There's like a few really beautiful lines, but then they're quite embedded in like quite a lot of impenetrable stuff.
Oh, it's totally impenetrable. But he writes in this, I mean, it's all, he just loves words. And then he goes from German to Latin to English again. My wife, luckily enough, my wife is German, so she gave me some pronunciations. But it's just very, very difficult because it goes at a sort of scatological rate, and once you're into it, you realize there is that sort of, and there's that kind of Irish kind of mysticism in his writing. There's kind of weird Irish sort of Celtic kind of non-speak, which is quite fascinating. So it's a fascinating man, but it's a fascinating writer, but it's very frustrating.
Excellent. Well,
but apart from that, I'm not very busy at all.
It sounds like loads of work.
It's a lot of work, but it's gratifying, and also it's very good to be in this situation here because I'm able to enjoy nature for the first time. I'm not a very nature type person, but I'm able to, we've got a family of, we've got a few actually, more than one family of woodpeckers. And we have the greater spotted woodpecker, which is this little black and white one with the red head. And there's a baby that keeps coming to my wife put up a suet bird feeder. And this baby keeps coming. And then you hear the young babies practicing their well, when a woodpecker does it, it's kind of bum, 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 bum. But when a baby does it, it's it's quite sweet. So I'm kind of getting into nature. I saw my first groundhog, which I'd never seen before, and really extraordinary animals, quite big animals.
You don't get those in Scotland, do you? Really? So.
Pardon?
You don't get those in Scotland, so you wouldn't have.
No, you don't. And of course, my wife saw a hummingbird, which was very unusual. We saw, and there was just down the road here, literally less than 500 yards from us, there was a bear, a black bear. We have lots of black bears who kind of wander around, and they're very tame, very shy. They just come foraging. So you have to be careful. You have to lock everything up and make sure that your bins are well and truly sealed because they get into everything. And that's that. And then of course watching the seasons pass, and there's lots of chipmunks. There are these hundreds and thousands of chipmunks, and they're tiny wee and they're the sweetest animals. But it's watching, we came here in March, and we've had all kinds of weathers. We've had snow. When I arrived, the trees were bare. There was not a leaf on the tree. And so it's been a kind of bit of a privilege just watching nature at work. And also I had, my other thing was I had an injury. I tore my meniscus doing a squat. And I had to go to the hospital, and I met this incredible orthopedic surgeon, who's this rather eccentric woman, sort of French Canadian, who doesn't believe in surgery for the knee. She won't do it. She does it for other things, but she won't do surgery for the knee. And apparently it's a common trait now among surgeons that they're no longer believing in knee surgery, which is interesting. And I went to her, and she did an amazing job. And I'm hobbling, but I'm walking. 2 weeks ago, I wasn't walking at all. So apart from that, life's been incredibly busy, And then I have these two kind of, what do you call them? Hormonal teenage sons, who are hormonal and teenage, and they're late night owls. My 15-year-old, I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, "Get off your device. That's enough with the gaming," and he sleeps all morning. I mean, you know, and he's very tall. He's about 6'3", going on to 6'4". I mean, he's very tall, very lanky. So he's been a problem, and of course he won't do his homework. You know, he's a rebel. So that's, you know, and that we're constantly, constantly having to be dad, and I'm not very good at being dad. It's not a role I really enjoy. But one must do what one must do.
Yeah, I mean, especially the homeschooling thing. I can't even comprehend how
Oh,
to do that.
it's a nightmare. And in fairness to them, they find it difficult as well. You know, I mean, I keep saying, get up, get out of bed, and he just sits in his bed and he shoves off the. You know, I think they should make the Zoom compulsory, that you have to be on, so he has to be dressed and go to school. But no, he sits on and you know, and you just, it's endless, absolutely endless. And my other one, he's missing his girlfriend. He's 18, and he's in a very sad situation because he's graduating this summer, and of course he's not getting a graduation. And he's going to a college. He's going to a wonderful college in Brooklyn called Brooklyn College, and we don't know what's happening about that. So he's you know, and he's missing his girlfriend. So he's sort of and he's kind of broody. He's big as well, but not a little smaller than his younger brother, but you know, he's a bit like that. He's sort of broody. So it's difficult. It's difficult. My wife, on the other hand, thrives. She does online yoga classes, Kundalini yoga. She does one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and she gets a lot of people. She gets about 60 people. And she does it. She does it. She teaches it. Yeah, she teaches it. Yeah, she does it. Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it's Kundalini yoga, which is what she does, and it's very good, and she's getting quite a turnout. But then, of course, she's made a stick for her own back, because there are some days when she thinks, "I'm not sure about yoga." Then I say, "Well, you've got all these people waiting. What are you going to do?" You know?
Waiting online for you.
Hoisted by her own petard. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you.
All right, take care.
Have
you been up there long? Have you been up there since March? Have you?
Yeah, and I mean, it is weird, but I live in like a really small central London flat, and I just didn't want to be there because obviously
you're very wise.
I've got quite a lot of kit from work, and so I need to have like, you know, room basically. So
yeah. And have you got? Do you have a sort of garden and things like that around you?
Yeah, so it's nice. I've got like a separate office, so I mean, it's quite weird being 32 and back with your parents, but it's a weird situation, isn't it?
It's a weird situation. Anyway, nice to talk to you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.